and we're live on Inspired Woman TV. Hello, my name is Ruth Stuettgen. I'm your host and producer at Inspired Woman TV. And did I say my name? Yes, I think I did. It's Saturday Night Live again, people, and Saturday night in Melbourne could be in the morning in the UK or in Canada. It could be, I don't know, 15 hours ahead earlier. So they would be still be sleeping. I've had people on from Barbados, and I've had someone in from the UK, which is fabulous. So Inspired Woman TV is the show to be if you want to lift your game and be on top of the world in the company of inspirational women like the lady I'm about to chat to tonight. And Inspired Woman TV was called to life to give women the platform to share their wisdom and inspire others, and to show them that whatever it is that they've gone through, if you're going through it as well, then you can get through that. So hold your breath, because we're going to be starting soon. The next 30 minutes. Tonight, I'm welcoming Nikki Simos from Melbourne, Australia, and she's going to tell us about herself. Okay, so let's do it. Hi, Nikki. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Ruth, it's been an absolute pleasure, and how wonderful. I mean, what else could we be possibly doing on a Saturday evening here in Melbourne, Australia, in the North region of Victoria? So yes, it's been an interesting, busy day, but it's wonderful to be on your program. Congratulations on the beginnings of it. And I know that it's quite successful, reaching out to people in your community, your networks, and around the globe, which is fantastic. But what's really even more special, Ruth, is that we get to cross paths again and meet one-on-one and have this wonderful chat. We met 2016, I think it was, or 2015,
yes,
2016.
Around there.
When we formally, officially launched our wonderful book of inspiration for women, by women, by you, the creator. Ooh, very exciting book right there. And I became one of the co-authors in this amazing book, which was quite well received here in Melbourne, North Victoria, which is fantastic. So it is my pleasure to be joining you tonight, and I've got the honour, not you.
Oh, thank you. You're so kind. And I feel really inspired to and blessed to be in the company of women like yourself. And all the hundreds of other women that are in the book from all over the world, and girls as well. I think there's a little bit of a like an echo, isn't there? Can you hear it?
Not from my end.
Sure. Okay, all right. It's just me, maybe my funky ear headphones here.
Potentially.
Okay, so tell me a bit about yourself, Nikki.
Well, Ruth, where do I begin? We've only got 30 minutes, so let's see if I can do it in a nutshell for you. So I guess my story goes back from as far as 17 is where I'll take you back on the journey, I think.
Oh, that's only 5 years though.
Absolutely, absolutely. So at that time in my period of life, I wanted to take it away, just end it. And I did that, thoughts in mind at the time, because of tumultuous experiences that I had. So at 17, unfortunately, I was a rape victim, not once, but twice, by 2 different perpetrators. And to one of those rapes, unfortunately, I fell pregnant. And being of Greek background and very firm, strict culturally background family upbringing, there's no way I could tell a soul. I was studying at the time, and I was learning to become a psychologist back then, actually. So I was at university and working part-time, and not a soul to be told. So I suppressed that for 30 years of secrecy, didn't tell a soul. It wasn't until, unfortunately, I lost my own mother in 2012 where that loss began, so that grievance of loss. I aborted the child that I had fallen pregnant to. And in that space, in that time, I fell into postnatal depression, post-traumatic depression.
Yeah.
And I wasn't my normal self. I said to my family, look, I need to move away. I need to get away. I need to go somewhere where I don't have any access to people, phones, television, no form of communication with the world. I just wanted to move away and go somewhere. So I found this gorgeous place called Vipassana in Hillsville.
Oh, I've heard of
Victoria.
that. That's for the whole week or weekend or something.
11 days, 11 days.
Yeah.
So 10 nights and 11 days. And that required literally solitude. So, and very strict form of meditation from very early hours in the morning. So waking up at 3:34 in the morning and going to bed probably about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. But in between, you have no opportunity to speak to one little soul. So there's other women there and other men there. But you're sleeping in cabins with the women, and the men are sleeping with cabins with the men.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to talk. You're not allowed to look at each other. You might smile, but that's it. Even during the eating time, even then it was quiet and peace. So in that process, by day 3, I thought, what on earth am I doing here? I can't speak to anyone. I can't write. I'm not allowed to read. I'm not allowed to watch television. I don't have any form of mobile communication with my family. I have 3 children, 2 adults now and 1 adolescent, or actually teenager, should I say. She's just become a young teenager. And I started to feel guilty. I thought, what am I doing here? Why am I even doing this? For what purpose would I want to get away from everybody that loves me and I should be present with them? But I knew then that I was missing the self-love just for myself. And I knew that I needed that time to take on board. So I took on, if you like, the brain surgery element without the tools. And it was literally that process, 11 days. So 10 nights, 11 days, no consultation, no communication, no outside world contact. So if you can just imagine you're in this place where there's just beautiful, surrounded by beautiful green hills, beautiful trees, fresh air, beautiful sunrises and beautiful sunsets, but not a soul to speak to other than your own mind.
It's incredible. Yeah. How did
Very
that go for you?
Well, like I said, day 3, I wanted to get out. And then when I spoke to the person in charge, they said, and they were a form of a nun that runs it, and they said, look, just give it another day. Just give it another day. Just give it another day. So each day I took 1 step at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, actually. And then the day went nicely. And each day as I woke up again the following day and I got closer and closer to the end of the journey, I did notice some changes. I did notice some quiet mind thinking. And I started to look inwardly rather than outwardly and ask really pivotal questions like, who am I? What am I about? What's my purpose on this journey? What am I here for? At one point, I said I wanted to take my life. And then all of a sudden, I started to realize that I have a life. I have an existence. And I need to understand quite deeply, what was my existence? What was my purpose? Why am I here? So all those questions started pondering in my mind, and I would ask them. It wasn't until a moment, actually, that I had where I was looking down on the ground and I could see a little ant just crawling along its little way. And it came across a rock. And the ant, I noticed, lifted up this other rock.
Yeah.
And underneath that rock was a baby ant. And I could now see the bigger ant was helping the little ant get out of that rock because it was stuck. And you would think the little ant could get out, but it wasn't enough room for it to get out. And you could see that the bigger ant went over and picked up the rock and let the little ant out. And amazingly, the bigger ant grabbed the rock and put it back where it was so it wouldn't go back into that place. In that moment, I noticed there was a new epiphany. I had this epiphany and I went, wow, how profound. An ant looking after somebody else. Something so small, but yet so grand in the scheme of things. And so deep in the meaning of what it did that very moment. Just the simple act of lifting something. So then I started thinking about that concept, that whole idea of initiation, our challenges, and then the initiations, and then the return of life.
Yeah.
You know, so we have a full circle.
Yeah.
continuing on with that journey, you look up at the clouds and you begin to see some beautiful shapes and things in the skies and things in the trees. And for a moment, I'm thinking, am I hallucinating here? Am I seeing things that I wouldn't normally see? Is this real?
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't tell anybody. I saw things, I heard things, I sensed things. It was like another realm, another element of the world. It was very real because it was happening and it wasn't made up. And at the end of the journey, I went, okay, I know what I need to do. I need to write a book. I need to write a book and I need to tell my story. And I need to tell my story for the benefit of others, to not suppress 30 years of sabotage for yourself and to actually allow the opportunity to share for other people to become the best versions of themselves.
So did you write the book?
Absolutely. I wrote a book. It's called Letting Go, Moving On, and that's it here. And so it's a memoir. I am in the process of creating a book for some other co-authors at the moment, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But this one here, Letting Go, Moving On, is exactly that. It was the opportunity to understand that if I continued to hang on to all that baggage, then what have I learned in that process of 11 days if I had moved on and moved out and did nothing different or nothing new or nothing of a new page or a new chapter to turn? I would have just continued the same old, what am I doing? Where am I going? What am I up to in my life? And I was only young at the time, not that long ago, still very young.
Yeah, yes, of course. We never grow old, do we?
That's right.
We only grow wiser. So what a journey, girl. And you've just continued on your path to inspire others, to keep on making a difference in people's world, and to have the family around you as you're moving and you've grown. You've learned how to cope with what your past,
And I've let it go.
and you've let it go.
The two significant key words there, Ruth, for me is forgiveness and trust. The two
Trust.
hardest.
What do you mean with trust? Forgiving yourself, forgiving the perpetrator.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
trusting.
And trusting self and trusting others, because those two things were the significant things that were taken away from me at 17. And so for over the years, it was very difficult for me to trust anyone again. And even when I found the man of my life, the soulmate, even then, I mean, he didn't know either. We were married and I still didn't share this story. Nobody knew until the day I published my book. And even my father, on the day that I published my book, is the day he found out about my story.
Wow.
And so it was something that was very close and dear, held inside of me, which needed to come out. So when I did my launch, that's another story in itself. My wonderful husband decided to have a quadruple bypass on the very day of my launch date.
The very day?
On the very day.
How did that get about? How did that come
so
about?
I said, hey, you really want all the attention today. This is about me for a change. So that evening, when I had to do the launch, I thought, okay, what can I do here for him? I had to start asking other questions. What can I do for him? Where is he at the moment? Is he in the right care? So asking these questions with what's the answers to these questions? Yes, he's in the right care. Can I do anything for him at this very moment? No, I cannot. Is he getting the best care he can receive at this present time? Yes, he can. Could he die? Yes, he can. Do I need to live on? Yes, I do. So even at that moment on that day, when I had to deliver my book and I had people coming from all walks of life and coming to the launch, I continued the story and told them about the book and shared my experience there. And then it wasn't until the very end when I said to the audience, now I have another little bit of information to share. And that's when I publicly said, You know, unfortunately, my husband had a quadruple bypass and we nearly lost him this morning. And everyone's going, my goodness, like, could this, you know, here you are telling us the story that you almost took your own life. And here you are dealing with the life that could be taken from you. And so in that moment, there's yet another challenge, another thing. Where does your mind sit with all of this? So in my journey and in my acceptance and in my understandings and in my forgiveness and in my learning for trust again, I found faith. I found faith and I found it inwardly. And because the day when I was going to take my life, I did ask if there's anything bigger out there than myself, if there's a higher purpose, if there's a God, whatever's out there in the universe, if you can hear me, I need to hear you right now, or see or feel, because otherwise I'm going to jump. And so I'm glad I heard someone say, it's not your time yet, Nikki. It's not your time yet. You've got a whole journey ahead of you. I didn't know what that was going to look like, but it's not your time yet. And so that was my savior. So I guess for me, over time, I started to learn about spirituality. What is it? What is faith? What does it mean? Who is God? What is God? Is God love? So then I started asking all these other questions that I had to explore and find out. And in that journey, that's another story. That's another book yet to write.
Yeah, there you go. You got it all set, right? That's incredible that you were able to heal, that you were able to write your story, to pass on your knowledge and your experiences to other people, and that you can show them that you're still here and that you are ready to do other things as well and to keep on making a difference in people's lives.
Yes, absolutely.
You're a counselor and a coach, and you work with people that are obviously going through things or have gone through things, which is amazing in itself. I know too, you said to me, you told me earlier that just today you launched another project of yours.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
Absolutely, Ruth, I'd love to. So I'm very, very passionate, and I have been for many years, about community advocacy work, supporting people in the community, whether it's homelessness, whether it's people with disabilities, whether it's people who just need support, just to have someone listen to their story. Don't have to do anything with the story, just to sit and be present and listen. So we launched today, officially, half hour before this program came to air, the Mitchell Multicultural Community Association Incorporation. I've resided in the North region of Victoria for 17 years. And for 17 years, I felt like, again, where's the cultural in here? Where's the Indigenous representation that we talk about all the time?
Yep.
Where's the cultural backgrounds of people from Romania, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Africa, Greek, Italian, and the list goes on, Asian. We have them in the community, but where are they? What are they doing with themselves?
Yeah.
And we know some families connect with each other and they connect within their homes. And they might have studies in their homes. They might have singing groups. They might have dancing groups, but they're not together. So for many years, I've vouched and said to the council, look, we'd really love to have an opportunity to begin a new journey and establish a multicultural community where people can feel that they belong, that they can contribute, they can be supported, be it through resources, be it through support programs, and connect. Because again, our region up here in the north is going to grow. Between now and 2025, they're looking at 75,000 people coming through in the corridor that is coming. And that's huge growth for our region. And so these people need to know, well, where can I go if I want something translated?
Yeah.
Where can I go if I have visa issues and I want them to be explained to me? Who can I go and see if I need some support with my family who might have disability issues from a multicultural background or from a cold background? Which women can I go and speak to who
And
get
that wasn't in
domestic...
place?
Pardon?
That wasn't in place?
No, unfortunately. There are services, but they're not culturally supported. So people can go into a service centre, And they might walk out of there going, now, I spoke to this person, but what does it all mean? How are people supported with domestic violence, for example, especially women? You know, so all these things are important to the community, to members of the community. The council did a great job and would host a festival, a multicultural festival, and that was great. Lots of people came, all walks of life, but it's not ground level up. You
And
know,
then after the festival, then they all disperse and they go about their own thing, yeah?
that's right. Whereas
Yeah.
I'm very much about the ground roots, about it, about investing in the people, about investing in what people want. And in that is part of the advantage thinking, appreciative inquiry approach, the strength-based stuff. What can people do and then can do better? Not what we can't do, not where the gaps are. Let's find the gaps and let's work with those and make it better and grow. And so now we're looking at, you know, building the Mitchell Suicide the Mitchell Multicultural Community Association, Mackay for short. And there is a Facebook, MCAI Mackay. We did a live stream today. We had people, gorgeous children from Sri Lanka in their amazing, colourful outfits, just doing their wonderful dance, you know, and they're the future. You know, we're getting older. This is the next generation. This is how we can support them to grow and plant that seed to help them be nurtured and harness their strengths and have confidence instilled in them to believe that they can do whatever they believe they can do with the right supports in place. So today we built that foundation. We had representations of the local mayor, we had the local police, Vic Pole, we had the Member of Parliament, Rob Mitchell, we had some wonderful people from the Salvation Army speaking about homelessness. We had beautiful martial arts performances. We had Sri Lankan performances, and we had Indian dance, and even yoga and meditation, which is all part of that. So, you know, very significant building blocks. We've started planted that seed. We've started it now. It's out there. And again, speaking to you. And hopefully that will support lots of areas for people with disabilities, people for men's support groups as well. So we're looking at doing that sort of thing. You know, entrepreneurships for the next generation, looking at creative and innovative ways of how we can actually build the network and get kids' ideas become real for them. And say, look, this is an idea I had, and now look, it's real, you know, and build that into a business for themselves, especially with, you know, the rural area up here. We need businesses to get, you know, that structure sound and in place for future generations. So that's one of the advocacy works which we launched today. And my other community advocacy work is with the Mitchell Suicide Prevention Network. So then again, just supporting reducing the stigma of suicide, which is really, really important. And I guess the key stuff there for people, if they're wondering, well, how do I have conversations with people who are thinking about contemplating their lives, is to just simply sit and listen, just be present for them. You don't always have to be the person trying to find the answers of what to do. Sometimes if they feel that they need the support and need to be, you know, that next step, then sure, go with them, go to the GP, get that appointment, go with them. But some people are quite happy just to sit and be heard, and they just need someone to talk to. And doing that can go 1,000 miles instead of doing.
And sometimes that's just the person or the moment in time that will stop that person from having those thoughts, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly
yeah, that's really incredible and important work. I just heard from someone yesterday who said that a relative of hers had experienced a friend who took her own life, and you know, the friend was, you know, a very close friend. And you know, that comes as such a shock, because if you are that close, you know, sometimes you think that you know someone probably well, but you still don't know.
That's right. And it's always difficult when it's like that, because you kind of say, well, what did I miss? Why couldn't I see that? And then you feel guilty because you've been.
Yeah, you think that you should have been there more, be more attentive. And that's also something that we then have to look at. if it's something, if someone has passed on in that way, in that manner, that the people who are left behind are also looked after, right? Because
That's exactly right. So we call that the post-vention period, and we definitely look for bereavement and having that space for people to grieve, but also to share their insights and be supported in that manner. The difficult thing is that people make the choices they make, and sometimes we may not understand them.
That's right. And I believe too that that's their journey, right? They're meant to go down that path, and the ones who don't end up taking their lives are also meant to go down that path.
Yes,
I believe that
absolutely.
our plan, or our life plan, is already, written down, set in stone beforehand.
100%.
So whatever journey we go on, whatever plans we have, if it falls apart, it's because it's meant to fall apart, because it's your life takes you in to go from A to B, but you might have to go from A to C and then veer to the right and then come back to, so
So
if we
we have a
can.
saying in Greek, Ruth, which is "imidamas ine grameni," which means our life journey is already pre-written for us.
Yes.
And it's written on our forehead. We just don't see it,
We don't
it's
see
already
it.
imprinted. And
Yeah.
the thing is when we go through the challenges and experiences that we have, I can confidently talk about this now because I'm living testimony, but also I understand it deeply. I do.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know some people might say, but how do you know this? It's because, one, the older you get, the wiser you become.
Indeed.
Two, you learn from your experiences and you realize and start asking some really profound questions, but ones that give you the truth that you need to hear and be willing to accept the outcome of that. Forgiveness is definitely the biggest part of all of it, for self and others, but first for
Yeah.
yourself
For
and then for
yourself.
others.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
And knowing that we're not perfect. We're learning each and every
And
hour
we're
of
going to
the
make
day.
mistakes all the time,
All the
right?
time. All the
Doesn't
time.
matter how successful we are in life. There's always going to be something around the corner that's going to happen,
That's
which
right.
is actually quite tiring when you think about it, right? Because you think, I've just gotten up and just figured out how to deal with this, and I know that something is going to come around the corner.
Well, it's energy that you're putting in a place that you need to understand a little bit better and ask yourself, well, why is this happening at the moment? What is it that I need to be learning and taking away? What can I do differently at the moment? How can I look at this from a different perspective with a different lens? How can somebody else tell me what they see if I don't see it myself? So, these are all very important questions. And if you can be honest and truthful with yourself, the question of when someone says, well, who are you? Who are you really? That should be an easy question to answer. But in fact, it's a very difficult one. And many people don't know how to answer that question.
That's right.
And it can take a lifetime to figure that out.
Yeah, and we don't take the time. Most of us do not take the time or allow the time to spend delving into to hear those answers, to get those questions, because we pack it so full, myself included. We've got to do all these different things and there's no time. And so I think the secret is to make that space on a daily basis, as often as we can, to, even if it's not hours on end, but just minutes. It can be simply minutes where we can just find that center, or just calm down and be quiet and just breathe and contemplate, or maybe not even contemplating, just breathing, just being, just looking at the surroundings and actually taking it in. Because
Absolutely.
I think, quite often we're so busy in that moment that we rush from one thing to the next, or even when we're walking, that we are so intent upon what's going to be after the walk, the things that we need to do after the walk, to actually be enjoying the walk.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I mean, if I tell you my day starts at about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm usually in bed by about 10:30, 11. I don't ask people to ask much of me by about 9:30. That's when my brain switches off.
Yeah.
But in the morning, I'm very active, and I start my day with meditation,
Yeah.
silencing the mind. And that's a whole 1 hour solitude to myself and for myself and for my well-being. I don't have anything else there. It's non-negotiable. It's set, it's locked in. Now, that's
good.
not for everybody. That's not for everybody. But what I do say to people, when you go to the toilet, that moment you're in the toilet, that's your 5 minutes if that's all you've got.
On the toilet and
On
be
the
there.
toilet.
Exactly.
You know, and just listen. You know, you're having a wee, let it be that wee that gives you that calmness. Listen to that waterfall, you know, as if you're turning on the tap, and just listen to the water.
That's right.
You know, so there are lots of, I mean, mountains are a bit different, but water, definitely. You know. So I think it's important to definitely allow and give yourself permission, whether it's 1 minute in the day, whether it's 5 minutes in the day, 10 minutes an hour, whatever you can afford to do. If you're self-disciplined enough, you'll make the time, like myself. But I've learned to do that. It's not something that I grew up to do. You know, I had to learn it and be very, very strict with myself and give away things. And when you speak about walking, Ruth, so important to actually observe the beauty around.
Yes, that's right.
You know, you notice a beautiful flower, go up and smell it, you know.
Or just sit and just
observe it.
Observe, because sometimes you see people walking, they're on their phone. And sometimes I am on my phone, but sometimes I just say to myself, right, this is it. I'm not going to listen to any podcasts. I'm not going to do anything but just walk. And I take maybe 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how much time I have. I sit down in a certain spot and just set my timer on my phone and just sit there and watch, observe, listen.
Yeah,
And
there's so much beauty. Absolutely. So much satisfaction and reward you can get just by that moment of solitude, silence, and walk. You know, like I said, I think I opened up the story with a little ant, just having that opportunity to observe the ant.
Observe
that. I
that.
was in silence. I was nothing else. I had nothing else to do. I couldn't talk to anyone. So I'm looking around. What am I going to notice? What am I going to see?
Yeah, that's right.
And that's not intentional either. It just happens. So that's really beautiful.
Incredible. Thank you so much for this profound conversation. And I'm proud of you for your initiatives and for your advocacy, for what you do for your community. And I'm looking forward to hearing some more about how that goes.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. Well, I will let your audience know that weekly, like yourself with this program, we do real-time, real topics Wednesday evenings. We look forward to having you on our program for that one day. And of course, we've got the radio show as well that I do presentations for. So there's lots to be done and shared. We don't have time. We talk about time, but time is not ours. But what we do is what we put into the day as best as we can with the time we have.
So thank you so much. Where can people get in touch with you?
So easily on Mind Ahead Facebook page or www.mindahead.com.au, or just look me up, Nikki Simos. That's another way, on a personal page. So either way will work. So there's Facebook, website, and that's probably the easiest, and Messenger, of course.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so thank you so much, Nikki, for coming on to the show after such a big day for you and such a brilliant achievement. So it was really interesting to hear more about what you do, because we haven't been in touch for quite a while. And I enjoyed listening to your wisdom as well. So we're going to get to the end of the show, and we're quite on time today. So that's great, getting there. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching the live, if you're not watching the live, if you're catching the recording, thank you so much for coming along and listening and taking the time out to watch the recording. I hope that you've been able to be inspired by what Nikki shared. And if you'd like to share your wisdom, your experiences, and your knowledge with others to uplift and inspire and create magic in their lives, and to just allow them to see that there is a solution for everything that they could be going through, please come along and get in touch with me at InspiredWomanTV.com if you'd like to be interviewed on the show and share your magic and your wisdom. Otherwise, join us every Saturday night for our Saturday Night Live, or you can just keep get updates on any other interviews that we're having. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Ruth Stuettgen. I'm the Inspired Woman TV host and producer. I'm also a coach and a performance consultant. And I loved being here for you tonight. So thank you. Have a great night, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye, Ruth. Thank you.
Yep, I'll speak to you shortly. Let's just stop this. Okay, who stopped that? Me?